Farm Week is a production of the Mississippi State University Extension Service.
Today on Farm Week, America's farm groups say agriculture is being set up to take more than its share of federal cutbacks.
Korea and the United States have signed the biggest trade pact in almost 20 years.
In Southern gardening, now is the time to dream of summer and make plans to make it happen.
In the markets, cattle prices are high for this time of year, while the cotton supply situation is very tight.
In the feature segment, Heifer International. This Arkansas organization helps many in the Third World and the United States. The Passing On the Gift program encourages those who have been helped by Heifer International to, in turn, help someone else.
Summing up Heifer to me would be all about dignity. It's moving from hunger to hope. It's people taking charge of their lives and changing it because they have resources, they have opportunities, they have training. But it's their decision, they own it.
Good day, everyone. I'm Leighton Spann.
And I'm Artis Ford. Welcome to Farm Week.
Cuts are planned for agriculture in the 2012 federal budget, but many farm groups are alarmed at the cuts proposed for this year.
Leighton, 32 farm organizations joined together this past week to express their concern for what they feel is agriculture taking more than its fair share of the funding cuts. It came after a funding proposal was introduced in the GOP-controlled U.S. House of Representatives. The bill in question is H.R. 1, the continuing funding resolution for the balance of the federal fiscal year, which ends September 30th. The bill had a target of cutting overall non-defense discretionary expenses by just more than 10%. The 32 agricultural groups pointed out that the bill would cut double that, more than 22%, from agriculture-related programs and operating budgets. That amounts to $5.21 billion. Presently, the federal government has been operating on a series of continuing resolutions. These fund the government in 2011 at 2010 levels.
The United States and Korea struck a trade deal last week, one that's the biggest in almost 20 years. It's called KORUS FTA. That is short for the Korean-U.S. Free Trade Agreement. Trade representatives from both countries signed amendments to the agreement, which now only lacks approval by the U.S. Congress and the Korean National Assembly. Market to Market's Mark Pearson reports there was strong disagreement over American cars and American beef, which delayed the deal and even forced renegotiation. The deal will make Korea the largest customer for U.S. pork.
And last month, we finalized a trade agreement with South Korea that will support at least 70,000 American jobs. This agreement has unprecedented support from business and labor, Democrats and Republicans. And I ask this Congress to pass it as soon as possible.
During initial negotiations for the KORUS FTA, Korean trade officials stated there would be no renegotiations once the details were decided. But Korean import tariffs on U.S. beef and automobiles became insurmountable stumbling blocks. The inability to ratify the document sent both sides back to the table. The logjam was broken when Korean officials agreed to drop tariffs on incoming U.S. automobiles in exchange for leaving tariffs on U.S. pork imports in place for 2 years longer than specified in the original treaty. There is no word on what will be done about import tariffs on U.S. beef. Saying they're willing to wait until 2016 for all pork import taxes to be lifted, representatives from the National Pork Producers Council are calling the deal a good one. According to economists at Iowa State University, the KORUS FTA will create 9,000 jobs and make South Korea the single largest recipient of U.S. pork exports over the next 10 years. At 600,000 metric tons, sales will be almost double what is currently purchased by Japan, the top market for U.S. pork. For U.S. politicians, there is a time crunch. Jobs and market share may be lost if the agreement is not ratified by July 1st, when a trade pact between Korea and the European Union goes into effect.
Currently, there are 2 other trade agreements in the works. The U.S. is also negotiating with Colombia and Panama.
Does the cold weather make you wish for the warmth of spring and summer? Well, in this week's Southern Gardening segment, Extension horticulturist Dr. Gary Bachman shows us how catalogs can inspire us to dream about the spring and summer garden.
During the cold nights of February, I like to look through catalogs featuring the latest and greatest plants for the garden. This nighttime reading often inspires sweet dreams of summer. Wow, will you look at that? Wow, gorgeous geraniums. Luscious loropetalum. An impressive plant for summer blooming is Snow Princess Sweet Alyssum, known botanically as Labularia. It offers literally thousands of white flowers that blanket the ground. In the MSU trial gardens, it blooms from spring to the first frost. Angelonia are called summer snapdragons and are a Mississippi medallion winner. They flower from late spring and bloom profusely until frost in the fall. The vertical texture of Angelonia flower stalks are a welcome addition to any summer garden. Daylilies can inspire the most colorful dreams. How about the daylily that was rose lavender with ruffled edges called Suburban Dixie Darling? Or the Southwestern Memories daylily with its yellow cream and garnet combinations. And I do love purple foliage, and Purple Flash Ornamental Pepper is one of the showiest available. The variegated leaves of purple and white are distinctive. The Titan Vinca also inspires dreams with its multitude of flowers and bright and cheery color combinations that last through the hottest times of summer. Boy, that was a great dream. I can hardly wait to see what our gardens will look like this spring and summer. I'm Gary Bachman for Southern Gardening.
Gary says garden catalogs are a great source of ideas for this spring and summer. Well, in our feature segment, Heifer International, this faith-based organization uses agriculture to help people overcome poverty in the United States and around the world. Time now for the markets with Leighton, and you say cattle prices are high for this time of year.
That's right, and there are some new projections out from the government, so it's all in the markets today. We have projections that U.S. cattle farming will enter an expansion phase over the next few years. Meanwhile, the continuing high price of cotton doesn't seem to deter sales to China, and analysts say a good U.S. corn crop is needed more than ever this year. We begin with the new Cattle and Feed report released Friday, February 18th. Earlier in the week, the government projected that export demand for U.S. beef would help fuel an expansion of the sector over the next few years. In the meantime, prices have been somewhat atypical for this, the third week of February. Extension economist John Michael Riley shared his thoughts about what is going on in the cattle market. John Michael, so far since January, beef prices as a whole have been pretty strong.
We've started the year fairly strong. We've tapered off just the past couple of days due to the Dow Jones dropping a little bit and a lot of uncertainty in terms of what demand is going to be as we see these prices work their way to the meat case. So I think that's got a lot of people kind of antsy about where the direction of these prices should be, because they are at relatively really high levels compared to where we typically are at this time of year.
All right, and this week we have seen the price of corn and soybeans come off a little bit, which is of course a primary feed for beef, and that's going to benefit what? The feedlots if feed is costing a little bit less?
That's right. Sell off across most commodities this past couple of days, and that should lead to a better break-even cost of gain. You did some calculations on those this recently, and right now they're sitting around $1 break-even cost of gain, which is really a very good cushion compared to historical levels. But with corn so high, it's still you're sitting there right there at that limit in terms of whether or not you can return a profit on cattle in the feedlot. But these lower feed prices should help out. Mm-hmm.
All right. Now you have some export numbers you were telling me that are positive more or less.
Right. We December export numbers for beef came in 33% above year ago 2009 levels, which we've seen that across so many commodities. Everything, global demand has surged in 2010. We saw that continue in December with beef exports being up quite strong, and that definitely helps, you know, because domestically there are some question marks, but it is good to continue to see some global demand out there.
Now, back at home, there have been reports that restaurants may be seeing a little more business or things getting a little bit stronger on the economy front. That would help beef as well.
We're not out of the woodwork yet. We are continue to see improvements. You know, unemployment still is one of these things that lingers. It's a lagging number, so there is hope that this is going to continue to improve. But for the most part, we are seeing some slow, gradual improvement in the economy, which should relate to higher restaurant sales.
Now, Friday, a new cattle on feed report came out. We're recording this before those numbers, but what are you expecting to see?
Well, we've seen such a surge in placements for the past couple of months. I'd be hesitant to think that that's going to continue into February or for the January numbers. I would expect that to be at least even or maybe a little lower, especially given the winter storms that we've seen. Now, those took place toward the end of the month. How much that impacted January placements, I don't know, but I think it should be, we should see those placements starting to taper off a little bit.
Although fish farming has declined some in Mississippi in recent years, aquaculture is a growing entity as far as the world is concerned. The United Nations Food and Agriculture Organization says that nearly half of the world's food fish are now grown on farms. That's a 3% increase from 2006. The FAO reports that China produces 62% of the world's farmed fish. World per capita fish consumption has now reportedly reached 37 pounds. Our trivia quiz begins the transition to row crops in the markets. Our question for the week is about cotton. Where was the first mechanical cotton picker in the state of Mississippi located? Attala County, Tishomingo County, Sunflower County, or Coahoma County? You'll find out here coming up in a couple of minutes.
We're going to pause now for a short break on Farm Week. Coming up, we'll look at the calendar and the second half of the markets. Leighton Spann reports on cotton prices and the need for a good corn crop this year. In the feature segment, Heifer International. This Arkansas-based organization uses agriculture to help lift people out of poverty in the United States and around the world.
Hi, I'm Leighton Spann, host of Farm Week. We want to make you aware of Farm Week's schedule beginning March 5th. Farm Week will not be in its regular Saturday time slot for the first 3 Saturdays of March. During that time, you can still watch Farm Week on Monday mornings at 6 a.m. or you can see the streaming video at our website, farmweek.msucares.com. Saturday broadcast will return the last Saturday of March after MPB fundraising ends.
Before we get back to the markets, let's look at the Farm Week calendar. The Producer Advisory Council of the MSU Coastal Research and Extension Center will meet Thursday, February 24th. The location is the center's headquarters on Pops Ferry Road in Biloxi. Gets underway at 9 a.m. The meeting affords growers a chance to advise the center on research and programs which could benefit them. The Hinds County Community College Bull Test Sale and the Mississippi Beef Cattle Improvement Association Spring Bull Sale will take place Thursday, March 3rd at noon. The location is the Hinds Community College Bull Sale Facility south of Highway 18 at Raymond. More than 51 Angus, Charolais, and Hereford bulls from 11 operations will be offered. The 21st Annual Greenhouse Tomato Grower Short Course is set for Wednesday and Thursday, March 9th and 10th. It will be held at the Eagle Ridge Conference Center in Raymond, Mississippi. Register by February 25th and the cost is $125. It's $150 at the door. Go to our Farm Week website at farmweek.msucares.com for information on these and other events. Now check out this Farm Week snapshot.
DTN reports cotton futures soared to the 700-point limit as of Thursday morning. This followed a USDA report that weekly U.S. export sales were within the range of expectations. December futures were running a little over 133 cents as of our production time on Thursday. Analysts at Doan's report the supply situation is very tight and that even an increase in cotton plantings will not provide relief for quite some time. Well, the grain markets, including corn, were giving indications Thursday morning that the recent round of long liquidation was nearing an end, according to DTN. Concerns about tight corn supplies are very much in the market, according to analysts. Dow Jones Newswires reported this week that corn stocks are expected to come in at a 15-year low by the end of the crop's marketing year, August 31st. Analyst Sue Martin tells Market to Market we have to have a good corn crop this year.
It's not going to take much to hurt us this year. And the good thing is we come into spring in very good shape for the producer, for the farmer. He's got a lot of work done, inputs put on. But the difference from this year to last year was, last year the ground wasn't froze under all that snow, so it melted in nicely, and then it turned dry, and boy, farmers got the crop in early. This year we're frozen. It may be that we see some flooding in some areas with the runoff of snow, but in the meantime, we probably may be a little bit delayed getting in. It's a late April Easter this year, the 24th of April. An old saying, late Easter, late spring, who knows?
That is a good question. We do, however, know the trivia answer, and we'll share that with you now. D is the right choice this week. Coahoma County in the Delta was the location where the first mechanical cotton picker in Mississippi was located.
Less than 2% of those living in the United States actually farm. The rest of us depend on them for our food and fiber. In other parts of the world, the vast majority of people must raise their own food. Livestock is often seen as a store of wealth. It can provide power, fertilizer, and protein, just to name a few of the bare essentials. Despite the benefits of animal ownership, many of these farmers live in poverty and simply can't afford to buy livestock. But the old adage about giving a man a fish feeds him only for a day, but teaching him to fish feeds him for a lifetime is practically a mission statement for one relief organization. Market to Market's David Miller explains.
These villagers are participating in a ceremony known as passing on the gift. This exchange of livestock has taken place thousands of times over the past 65 years and was made possible through a program established by Heifer International. But Heifer officials believe the gift is more than just an animal. To them, it represents a chance at self-reliance and the beginning of a better life.
Summing up Heifer to me would be all about dignity. It's moving from hunger to hope. It's people taking charge of their lives and changing it because they have resources, they have opportunities, they have training, but it's their decision, they own it.
Joe Luck has been president of Heifer International for almost 20 years.
You know, I've stood in the ditches in India and watched one woman give away one of the 2 goats she owns, and I just said, wow, do you know the Rockefellers? And they'd say, oh, very rich Americans, yes. I'd say, well, they're very generous and they've done a lot for philanthropy, but I've never known one to give away 50% of their wealth at one time, and you just did.
Heifer International was founded in 1943 by Dan West, a member of the Church of the Brethren. West had assisted refugees during the Spanish Civil War in 1939 and realized the aid he was dispensing only helped in the short term. Believing some kind of long-term assistance was necessary, West formed Heifers for Relief. One of the early shipments was made in the late 1940s when heifer animals replaced livestock killed during World War II. West had access to animals and the people to care for them during transport to foreign countries, but no ships. The United Nations had war surplus troop ships, but no livestock. A deal was made so animals could be sent where they were needed and farmers could begin rebuilding their lost herds. Heifer has always operated on a series of basic principles promoting self-reliance and sustainability. Known as the 12 cornerstones, employees, volunteers, and recipients hold to a set of ideals that include accountability, sustainability, and sharing. Heifer was founded as a Christian relief organization, but the non-denominational ministry recognizes all forms of spirituality.
We will never forsake our Christian roots. We would never do that. Dan West is our founder, was a Brethren and a farmer. Still, we hold him in the highest esteem that he had such a vision. But in order to have his vision live through today's world, I think we have to package that wonderful mission to fit the world as each era comes or each decade. People that are hungry are not all Christians, and so we wanted to be sure that that was not a prerequisite. What we want to do is end hunger, not just ask them what their faith is.
Since 1944, the Little Rock, Arkansas-based group has touched nearly 13 million families in more than 125 countries, including the United States. Heifer employs 1,000 people in 40 countries who are assisted by thousands of volunteers. The annual operating budget for the non-governmental organization has increased over the past 20 years from $7 million to more than $130 million, with donations accounting for more than 75% of the total. Most people learn about Heifer through word of mouth. Representatives of the agency do make presentations, but only after being invited and conducting an assessment of the needs for a village or region. Then they take applications from those in need. Once accepted, recipients must participate in a training program before being given an animal. While the contract that is signed does not allow for the gift animal to be sold, it does allow for the sale of byproducts like milk, eggs, or wool. Each participant is then obligated to make available the offspring for others in need or to help train others. In recent years, Heifer has become more than just a nonprofit humanitarian aid agency giving animals to the impoverished. It now provides trees, seeds, and training in how to plant and grow them in a sustainable manner. The end goal remains the same, helping those in need lift themselves out of poverty. In the early years, many animals sent to other countries came from Heifer's ranch in Perryville, Arkansas, but that practice stopped in the 80s.
It was going to cost this country over $250,000 just to pay for that flight, and it was not necessarily the right care for those animals. It would be a hard trip. It would have been good, but maybe not the perfect, breed for that country and that climate. And I said, I think we're going to have to take a fresh look.
Heifer's Arkansas Ranch also served as the training ground for techniques in sustainable agriculture. Today, it helps connect young people with the land, as well as giving them an understanding of challenges faced in third world countries. But a few courses are still taught by local instructors.
I don't remember 3,000 people a year who have taken my classes, but a lot do come back and says, yes, you taught me this 10 years ago. Thank you very much. I've done this with it. I've done that with it. I've moved forward or whatever. And it really helps when a heifer partner comes, a heifer recipient, a farmer who's trying to help his family. And we've been able to do something here that they have gone back and now their children have a better livelihood because of what we taught them here. That's a success.
Luck's efforts have been recognized by world leaders and wealthy socialites alike. Most recently, she was named co-recipient of the World Food Prize. Awarded annually, the World Food Prize was established by Nobel laureate Norman Borlaug, who is credited with saving more than 1 billion lives. Luck was humbled when she learned about receiving the award.
But I've been deeply moved and, a little overcome, like, do I deserve this? Or what can I do that's greater? Or how can I live up to this? I mean, it really makes us stop and think. And then I realized it's really not about me. I feel that I am a symbol and I've got to do my part and live up to it and speak and answer questions. But it's really about all those people I've been talking about that have inspired me all these years.
Like most Heifer employees, it's not the paycheck that keeps Luck coming back to work each day, but what she can accomplish for others. As a hands-on administrator, Luck has traveled around the world and witnessed the passing on the gift ceremony in several foreign countries. But she also is accustomed to danger. While carrying out her duties as president, Luck has been robbed at gunpoint and shot at by snipers.
If you love what you're doing, you go for it, and if it's risky, you just hope you come out the other end. If not, what a great way to go, making a difference.
For Market to Market, I'm David Miller.
If you're interested in watching this story again on Heifer International, you can go to our Farm Week website, farmweek.msucares.com. We'll also have links to the Market to Market website where you can see the story as well and read the script. We'll also have a link to Heifer International. That's farmweek.msucares.com. You know, Leighton, a lot of times there is that immediate need for aid of food in such area, but the Heifer program of that long term of building the community, it works, and it doesn't take a lot to make a big difference in terms of a family.
Just some committed people.
Or an area there in that part of the world. Well, we are at the end of Farm Week for this week. On our show next week, we'll have 2 feature stories for you.
There will be highlights from the 2011 Dixie National Sale of Junior Champions. It is the pinnacle of the junior livestock show circuit in Mississippi.
In Lamar County, the local Soil and Water Conservation District is introducing students and area residents to native trees.
And in Southern Gardening, it's time to prune.
And if you'd like further information on a Farm Week story, get in touch with us. That's Farm Week, Box 9625, Mississippi State, Mississippi 39762. That's Farm Week, Box 9625, Mississippi State, Mississippi 39762. Our telephone number 662-325-2262. You can also get in touch with us through your Mississippi State University Extension Service County office. For the rest of the Farm Week crew, I'm Artis Ford.
And I'm Leighton Spann. Thanks for watching. We'll be back next week.